Hey everybody, my name's Gavin Henrick. I'm the CEO at Brickfield Education Labs. We work on accessibility at scale across higher education, further education, and in corporate learning. Today's session is about digital freedom, the idea that learners should have control over how they read, listen to, and interact with content. Most of what I'll show you costs nothing. It's already built into every device in this room, but some of it isn't. So, quick question. Think about your own day. What's the one piece of software you opened first this morning and you'll close last night? It's usually not Word or even Outlook. It's your browser. It's where work happens, where learning happens, where research happens, whether you're in the LMS, whether you're in Google Docs, in Office, whether you're in Canva, and almost nobody has spent a single hour of formal training on it. Do you know what it does? Well, there's 3 billion Chrome users out there. 3 billion, that's a huge number with almost zero formal training outside of maybe IT roles. Microsoft has Edge training for their browser in their learning modules. It's basic, it's very hard to find. But yet the browser is where your students live, your learners live. And it's the one tool they've never been taught properly how to use. So the question I want to leave you with on this slide is, when did you last complete any formal browser training? I know that's a bit of a weird question. And one of the things that we decided to answer this last year with our clients, based on their feedback, was to create the Brickfield guides. They're not a separate website that people go to, but it's something that's built into their learning management system navigation. It's always there, one click away. There's no logins, no bookmarks, no IT requests. And the clever bit, the system detects the learner's browser and operating system automatically. So if they're on Edge on Windows, they'll see the Edge on Windows instructions. If they're on Safari on an iPhone, they'll see Safari on iPhone instructions. No more, here's the directions for 9 different browsers, go find your own, hope it's the correct operating system. The right guide finds them, browser tips, providing accessible file information, accessible slides, and also guidance on alternate formats. And it's all in a language that matches the device they're actually holding. And that's really important. So our browser tip guide is built around the idea of your browser, your device, your settings. Whatever you're on, the path to making it more usable and learning how to be usable. And very much, rather than making someone a fish pie or making them some food, you're basically teaching them how to fish. Well, use their browser. Because some people do have these overlays and these sort of JavaScript widgets that sit on sites to give some of the types of controls that browsers actually do natively. So why would you do that and then they won't be able to use sites the same way anywhere there isn't one of those tools? But their browser is on every one of those sites. So learning how to use their browser gives them a gateway to a better learning and web experience. So remember, the guide picks their browser, it picks their system, and then walks them through the right settings and the right workflow for their device. No guesswork. But here's the thing, what do browsers do? And that is the challenge. So as you can see here on the slide, on the left, it's prompting them with some of the key things that people might want to do. It's like, how do I enable reader mode? How do I change the text size? So what are these browser superpowers? Well, we've isolated 6 browser superpowers. The first one is reader mode. And these features are at the heart of digital freedom. Most browsers have them. Most learners have never been shown how to use them. So reader mode, which is built into like Edge and Safari and Firefox or plugins and other ones, where it removes all the clutter. So rather than seeing the content and navigation and extra blocks, it's just the content in a size and a font that you want, colors, background that you feel comfortable with. Maybe have it read to them aloud so that the text is spoken rather than just reading it, especially for useful for people learning in a second language. So, and then of course you've got personalization that they can adjust font sizes, colors, backgrounds, spacing. And so with some of them, they can also break apart the syllables to help them read and understand the text on there. It isn't supposed to be a challenge to read the text, it's supposed to be a challenge to learn the content. And then, of course, you've dark mode. Now, personally, I'm not a dark mode fan. I'll say that now. But in Brickfield, I seem to be the only one who isn't a dark mode fan. All the developers and everyone else in the team seem to swear by dark mode. But it does help reduce eye strain. It creates this comfortable contrast, and very much like we're using a blue and navy with white rather than black and white for our slides. And there's sort of an interesting piece here as well. So when you look at this whole idea of your browser, your device, then you have to go, okay, well, what else? Well, then you've got bookmarks. Some people might have done some bookmarks once or twice, but they don't necessarily know how to manage them, name them well. Often the names are terrible because it's linked to the name of the web page you were on. But saving those sites help people stop searching for them. And research backs the fact that bookmarks are useful, and it's linked into tab management because people actually use tabs as a sort of bookmark. So that's completely counterintuitive. But tabs can be good because they can be grouped together. So maybe for your learning sites or your collaboration stuff or your social media, you could have groups. You can close them, you can pin them, and it keeps your workspace under control. But yet, 59%, the research shows, 59% have open tabs that they know they should close. 25% of people have experienced browsers or computers crashing from tab overload. One of the people I work with, they have 50 to 100 tabs open in various groups and browsers and so on. Tabaholics, as I call them. But also, in the research, when browsing gets cluttered, it modeled browsing clutter and linked it to a measurable cognitive overhead. You have all these extra tabs where you can't even see their names. So you have to try and find out which tab are you on, and people are refinding tasks. And so bookmarks and good tab management are two superpowers that browsers can do and support learners, but only if they really know how. And of course, bookmarks often become out of sight, out of mind. And actually, people end up just using Google search or Bing all of the time, or nowadays, ChatGPT or Claude, to re-find things that they've already found, but they've lost how they saved them. And if you look at this slide here, you've got two images. On the left-hand side, you have a typical layout for a page, some headings, an advert across the whole page, content over on the left, just some lines of text. On the right, you have yellow blocks here indicating either extra other content or maybe adverts as well. But on the right-hand side, it's showing a black and white reader mode, but in dark mode as well. So all of that distraction stuff is gone, just the text. It's there to help people learn. And this is the same content, different experience, because the reader mode strips out the ads, the sidebars, the auto-playing videos, and dark mode gives the learner something they can focus on. 2 clicks, no installation, no IT request, empowering the learner, giving them freedom, digital freedom. But that also then requires accessible content, because that benefits everyone. It's not marketing language, it's measurable. Captions help in a noisy room or a quiet room. Alt text help when images don't load or they can't be seen when they do load. So those email marketing messages you get, and when you look at them, the alt text is top image 152. Great alt text, not great alt text. If they had alt text there that actually described the image well, I'd get the marketing message whether the image loaded or not. Someone should tell the marketing department. And of course, then on the compliance side, you've got things like ADA Title II in the US, the European Accessibility Act. The reality is, getting it proactively right is far cheaper than fixing it under legal pressure afterwards. And that's why we have those guides for accessible documents and accessible presentations, because students, to collaborate freely with each other, also need to do that in an accessible way. If it's part of the course work that they actually work with each other, then isn't the institution duty bound to actually have those students able to work with each other in an accessible way? to create those Google Docs or Word documents, PowerPoints or Google Slides together in an accessible way. So they need to have the basics. So our guides also provide that. But of course, all this information for all of the guides is available online, distributed in all the various different sites if you can find it. But no one will be able to find it if they don't know they need to go looking for it. And that's the challenge. If you don't know what a browser does, how can you go looking to learn how to do it? Like someone has never heard of phishing. Now, when we look at all of this and about accessible content, our toolkit helps support that freedom that your students have by helping teachers find and using automated checks to scan HTML and make it more accessible. Help them fix those issues with either one-click or bulk remediation tools. But then the institution can do these institution-wide reports, dashboards with KPIs, key performance indicators, to understand where the gaps are, where the progress is, what the priorities are. With all of this, just like the students having to learn their browser, staff need to upskill. There needs to be built-in guidance, which we have 7 layers of guides and tips and user tours and full-on training courses to support staff. Because if you have the right technology in your learning management system, if you have the prioritization and the culture, and then you give your staff the skills, your faculty the skills to create accessible content, then you're laying the groundwork for digital freedom for students. They can't do stuff with inaccessible content in the same way. And because of that, one of the interesting things we did was we did lots of synchronous workshops and different 4 modules on accessibility, web, multimedia accessibility, and document accessibility. And we deliver these ongoing synchronous and asynchronous for our clients. And of course, this accessibility summer camp's another example of the synchronous kind of workshops, although ironically, this is a pre-recorded session. But of course, then you've got asynchronous online courses, be it Microsoft, GSA, and there's 4 modules we do there. And as you see in the bottom corner, there is an image there of our Brickfield Academy Moodle site, and we issue badges for the 2 different levels to help promote and gamify the learning experience. It's the key thing is they can then provide this record of, hey, we've trained staff, but training for students and staff is really important. Now, but some of the best training tools aren't digital at all, and this is one of them. So here we have a photograph of one of our Brickfield accessibility tip cubes, and we have downloadable zine version of this content. That's a sort of a printable letter page where you can then fold it up into a little mini magazine. So these tip cubes and zines are a completely different modality for help. They're analog, they're physical, they're shareable, they're visible on their desk. And they reinforce something digital help can't, this ambient presence. A cube sitting on the teacher's desk keeps accessibility in their peripheral vision all year. It's a talking point when people come in. A help pop-up only exists while you're looking at it or while you've clicked on it. A cube does the work the pop-up can't do. It does it every day. It also doesn't break when IT touch an update and gets a knowing laugh from everyone going, like, who hasn't had an IT problem like that? It just happens. Technology breaks. The cube doesn't, well, unless you sit on it. So what are we looking at for institution? So people who we've been working with are able to find and address 85% of the common issues with our wizards. And that's really important. So it gives them an accelerated approach to fix the past. And using the wizards is more than 10 times faster than doing manual fixes for these. You don't have to go into something, find it, click on it, edit it, save it. You can do all of these multiple times on one page and then just submit and it updates the database for you. They produce analysis on thousands of courses and get all of this insights into where the problems are. Then the key thing is they can also track progress across the whole institution of how things are being used, both by the students and by the staff. And but these numbers would be indicative of anyone going through this process and analyzing things. You need to see what the institutions want to do. This is a journey of finding, fixing, and then trying to future-proof their content in a long basis, because that helps give that digital freedom to students. And that's where it comes. So when you've got your accessible content, then you need to support choice by students. And that is the most important word in accessibility. It's not compliance, it's choice. When a student gets to choose how they consume your content, text or audio, printouts, video, different fonts, colors, they engage more, they retain more, they complete more because they have agency. And this is all about giving learners choice. And like in this screenshot or this photograph here, we've got lots of different sweets. You've rows of green and white. I think they're mint sweets on the left and orange ones. Lemon with a lime one in the middle, some yellow and green. A red one, not sure, maybe strawberry. That green one in the middle, not sure what it is. And then you've red and blue ones. So that red and blue one looks a bit like a sort of a hockey stick kind of thing. And these are about choice, okay? Often students are just given one sweet choice. They're given a PDF, often unreadable, inaccessible PDF, where they need to be given an option to use it in whichever way they need. And what does that really mean? Well, so in our guide, we talk about alternate formats, so let's talk about it now. The idea is that the learner might want to be able to use text, they might want to use audio, they might want an ebook, or they might need to be able to use a Braille file, depending on their needs at that time. And so they might be looking at the web on their desktop, but they might want to have a printout that they're going to bring to the library so they can annotate it. Or when they're walking home or commuting, or if they're dyslexic, they might need to listen to the content rather than reading it. And this is about giving them choice of what they need and when they need it. Their device, their settings, their choice. And like other tools out there, we place our little icon right beside those resources. So whether they're converting 25 scanned or like different file formats like PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoints, or whether it's like core functionality like in Moodle with Moodle Book or Page and so on. The idea of us there is we're placing this little colorful icon beside it to sort of promote engagement. And the idea is it will convert into something that they want. So the student picks the format they need at the moment they need it. The instructor doesn't need to make all these formats. So you're leading into universal design for learning with multiple forms of representation, with the students creating those forms when and whenever they want. And I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but one example is audio, because it matters more than people think. Eyes tired from the screen all day, audio. Reading while doing something else, audio. And being able to, if you have a learning disability or learning in a second language, being able to choose different speeds, because offline players don't always have a speed option. So that one is critical for students. And being able to download this MP3. So offering that with our tool or something similar is really important. But then being able to download anything, even if they can download a Word document, they can then use like immersive reader on their device to actually listen to it there as well. And let's look at one student. So Aoife, a second-year business student, dyslexic, long commute to college and studies bit in English and in Irish. So different format she uses is like on the bus, might listen to audio and listens at 1.5 times speed to get through all of the content while she's commuting. But in the library, it's probably text or maybe a docx with immersive reader to be able to skim through the document to find key arguments, that kind of thing. But at her desk, you'd be using HTML, and then she can adjust the fonts and launch immersive reader and Edge there again, for longer study sessions. But maybe at home, she's just using the video recordings of the lectures and rewatches the sections of the lessons that she needs to for revision, and maybe annotates a transcript that she's printed out to be able to, have her own set of notes. Often with digital resources, we forget that they need to have takeaways, printouts, notes to be able to personalize themselves. Now, talking about transcription, as I mentioned there with the video, this is a powerful tool of digital autonomy. It's one of the most powerful tools. And I know, it gives the user choice over the time setting in place that they're actually doing something. It's, as a presenter, you've no idea of what your audience needs at that moment. Maybe the speakers aren't working well. Maybe they've got a head cold. Maybe they are deaf, they're hard of hearing. Maybe they're very distracted, they're tired, they're not able to focus. So having a transcript that they can then use becomes essential. It's not just an option, it's an essential piece to meet their needs at that time. And that's the empowerment piece again. It's about agency, it's about the choice that they're able to have some control. So that's really key. And one of the things that we've been working on is this live caption system and transcript that puts that in the hand, whether it's at a conference, the participants can have the transcript in their hand and scan through it, and also download it at the end. So they haven't had to take lots and lots of notes. They can take the transcript away, tidy it up and print it and use that as the basis of their notes. And that's great. And you can just imagine that also happening in the academic setting as well. So no special hardware, just using the browser for recording, but it empowers all the participants or in a classroom, all the learners, giving them, guess what? Yes, it's that digital freedom. Because maybe their memory isn't great and they need to scroll back to just double check what you said. Can't really ask presenters to scroll back or rewind themselves. That sounds rather painful. And look at those settings. So on the left, we've got the international conferences. The sessions are in English, but you've delegates from lots of countries. So them having captions that are translated into their language in real time in their hand, now that's choice, that's freedom. In a lecture hall, that setting, having hearing impaired students or second language students in the room, getting that transcript that they can then look at their device, save on their device without having to dictate or having to take notes. That's great, they can focus on the learning. And then even in businesses and all staff meetings, when you have maybe a hybrid format, the transcript gets shared at the end of these meetings, maybe with a summary notes of what are the agreed decisions. So that's supporting everybody. It's not an imposition, it's supporting everybody. So these are 3 different rooms, the same tool, the same outcome, the same empowerment, the same agency. And just for a second, I'd like you to imagine a world where learning is accessible to all. But we're not waiting for it, we're building it. I want to leave you with this slide and this question. What can you do in the next 24 hours? So, Chang et al., published by Carnegie Mellon, found that the majority of users keep tabs open precisely because they fear losing the page. That's terrible. And 28% struggle to find the ones they actually need because they've all of these pages open. Other research has found that the most search activity into Google and so is refinding work. They've already done it once, so now we need to do it again. People searching for sites they've already visited. So what I'd like you to do is think about 1, turn on reader mode on the site. Find an article you want to read, turn on reader mode, and just see what the experience is, that it's different, that presence that you can feel with the content and your learning. Maybe try read aloud on one of those long pages when you're going for a walk or commuting the next time. Find that article, click read this page to me and experience that. Now, there's a few different voices you might want to select from. Fair enough. And the last one here, and this is going to be your most important benefit, leverage that browser superpower. Bookmark the 5 sites you visit most and give them good names. So you can find them in your bookmarks, so you can reuse them again and save some of that time searching again for stuff you've already searched for. So if everyone in the room or this digital room or everyone watching this video does one of these tomorrow even, this talk has done its job. Thank you.